This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carinante. Well, Yankees did it again on national television, but this time it was the All-Star game. And what does did it again mean? It means a lot of stuff. It means America was disappointed by Jazz Chisholm, who was in the home run derby, and then they were like, Yankee fans are so stupid, I can't believe they wanted Jazz Chisholm in the home run derby. And then we were like, we actually didn't. It would be a bad idea for him to do that. He's a great player, and he hit a laser in the game, but yeah, home run derby didn't work out, so we got roasted again. Aaron Boone had the American League that usually tends to win these things pretty much every single year in a 6-0 hole. And you had something prepped on what a Boone-led disaster it was, and then they came back, and we were like, oh, fake Yankee comeback. Then they came all the way back, and then they lost anyway because Jonathan Aranda was in the home run swing-off. Also, Aaron Judge went home, which everyone's mad about, but I think that's normal. The Tigers flopped. Aroldis Chapman was great. Chaotic bullpen usage, and our top trade target got hit in the finger. But other than that, pretty normal weekend in Atlanta. Thomas Carinante, thank you for joining me. We're going to wrap up the All-Star game here on the stream, and then afterwards, stick around for an interview with Anthony Ranieri, the lead singer of Bayside, emo pop punk outfit that you definitely know. They're on their Errors tour for their 25th anniversary. Anthony's a diehard Yankee fan, so we had a ton of fun talking and played some games, and I definitely recommend you stick it through the podcast to get to that good stuff. But yeah, we got to talk about the All-Star game. I was in Atlanta. I saw it in person. I heard the chatter. Somebody in the crowd during the swing off when Kyle Schwarber was taking the lead for the NL yelled, "Now put Jazz in." And I was like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, but also that sucks. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Man, excited, I guess. Props to Jazz for shaking this off. Worst home run derby performance we've seen. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's pretty much impossible to be that bad with the modern rules. I was sitting next to Robert Murray, fantastic Robert Murray, who was like, imagine hitting 0 in this thing. And I was like, yeah, people used to do it. Like Robinson Cano did it in 2012, but it would never happen now because you have 40 chances.
Yeah.
And he very nearly hit 0, was stuck on 1 for an extremely long time.
Really just sucks. We got look, people were excited that Jazz was in it because it was Yankees representation and it was an opportunity for someone who everybody was immediately writing off to win the home run derby, and it would have been a massive FU if he had pulled it off. But the other outcome was obviously the worst possible outcome for then every moron who was on social media the day that it got announced being like, oh, Jazz Chisholm in the home run derby, and it's the guy dressed as a clown amidst the other soldiers about to like bust down a door. And it's like, really, these are the people now whose voices are emboldened. It's just fucking annoying. It's not anybody's fault. It's just Yankees baseball. It's Yankees baseball since 2017, man. Can't get away from it. I know Aaron Judge won the home run derby that year, but every other nationally televised event, every other nationally televised game, every other high leverage situation is just like more times than not, like in an overwhelming fashion, this just does not pan out for the Yankees. But Jazz shook it off, man. He had those interviews afterward, and he was already ready to get back into the derby next year, which I don't know if I'd recommend, even if he hits 20 home runs at the break. But yeah, that was Yankees representation in big moments over the last decade in a nutshell, and upsetting, but it is what it is. I'm not disappointed at Jazz. I don't think this changes anything. On the bright side, for any of the cynics out there, or I get cynics or glass half full, I don't know, but Jazz eliminated in the first round, not the worst thing in the world.
No,
took 50 swings, 43 swings or whatever it was, done. Don't have to worry about maybe injuries as aggressively as we were thinking. Don't have to worry about swing mechanics getting screwed up, even though the StatCast broadcast did a whole bit on that being a myth. I don't know if it's a myth. I just don't know if it's as overblown as everybody makes it every year. But either way, Jazz limited reps after that. Don't have to worry about wear and tear down the stretch after he's already dealt with a few injuries so far.
I hope not, and I can't lie and say that wasn't one of my primary thoughts watching him just hit moderate depth line drives for a long time, being like, is the shoulder sore? Is it? And then he hit his home run in the regulation was like a 459-foot monster shot. And I was like, all right, I mean, if he can do that, then I think he's probably healthy, and I think he's probably just not suited to this event. And hopefully that ends up being correct. He was affable throughout. A lot of people find Jazz corny. I don't. I think he's one of the most refreshing Yankees in a long time. They put out a 5-minute clip yesterday of basically his media day whirlwind, and I wish I'd gotten a chance to speak to him at media day. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I lost him. I don't know where he was. I was so distracted trying to talk to. I talked to some of the Tigers. I talked to some of the Astros, and then I ran into Byron Buxton and had something I really wanted to do with him. But I found Max Fried. I found Joe Torre. I legitimately don't know where Jazz was. I found Judge. So people talked to Jazz. Clearly, he's in that video. He wasn't not on the floor, but missed that opportunity, much like he missed his home run derby opportunity. Sorry, Jazz. I think you rock. I think you had a strong weekend otherwise. And he very nearly in the game tied the game before Stephen Kwan had the chance to.
Yeah. That insane play by Matt Olson.
That Matt Olson play that will be forgotten maybe in one of the, I mean, this is one of the, and I know baseball people try to sell the All-Star game and sell, you always remember All-Star games from when you were a kid, and you try to sell the modern ones as having the same level of meaning they did when you were a child. And it always sounds kind of like hyperbole, but the AL has just sort of handily won these for like 20 years. And the ones that counted sucked by and large, because it tilted the World Series. That counted too much.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't change the way people played. It just made the game have an outsized impact. And the AL used to win all the, and it also gave the Red Sox a couple World Series because it gave them home field advantage in many years. So negative on that, didn't love that. It gives the Yankees home field advantage in 2009, though, shout out there. But I don't mind that it doesn't mean anything anymore. I think it's better that it doesn't. But for the first time in a long time, we really had a classic All-Star game up for grabs, and Aaron Boone's sort of chaotic style of bullpen management and, definitely lend itself to this event. And you gotta admit that down 6-0, he presses the right button with Brent Rooker, who hits a huge 3-run home run on a 2-0 pitch from an imploding San Francisco Giants bullpen at that point. Randy Rodriguez gave that up after Adrian Morejon was just bad. Padres bullpen not exactly shining in this one either. But he pressed the right button there, and you're thinking, okay, it's a fake comeback. And then the 9th inning is extremely memorable. Objectively, a lot of people are going to remember the swing off, and for good reason. But you have Edwin Diaz coming in to put out the flames. You have Jazz hitting a rocket down the line. Eugenio Suárez with the pinky injury also made a barehanded play in that inning. The AL might have taken the lead in regulation, if not for 2 crazy plays. So hard to ask Jazz to do more than he did. And the scoreless inning for Carlos Rodon earlier, too, for the Yankee folks among us. Aaron Judge did precious little, and I guess took a plate home before he could participate in the swing off, and that's okay. Some people are mad about that. They should go touch grass.
Did he actually? They're in Atlanta.
That's what makes no sense to me. But people did say that.
Or did he just got out of uniform, took a shower, and was like, I'm not going back in this game if it goes to a swing, which I get.
Yeah.
Like Ohtani, I thought everyone was like, yeah, he's gone. And I was like, okay, sure. Like that makes sense. But Judge had nowhere to go.
No, he should probably stay in Atlanta. It would help. I didn't really have an issue with not choosing starters in the game for the swing off. I think you're picking guys who are warm. You're picking subs. You're picking based on who is probably available. And I'll say Boone was getting roasted for his selections, but the NL had an inherent advantage with Kyle Schwarber and Pete Alonso among the field for the chosen. I don't think you could do better than Arozarena. Home run derby pedigree, clutch. He had a chance to be that guy. Rooker was in the derby the night before. That makes sense. The only issue is Bobby Witt Jr., who did the derby last year and who I feel like you pretty easily put in that 3 spot in favor of Jonathan Aranda. But it's imperfect. Witt is a line drive hitter. Boone got the criticism because it didn't work. But he did line one off the top of the right field wall in his 3 swings. He also was asked to do something that has never been done before.
Yeah.
But of course, we leave this All-Star game with a bunch of people roasting Aaron Boone. Although also roasting the Rays, which feels good. And maybe it was 3D chess. Maybe he's trying to bum Aranda out for the second half and maybe decide that wild card race a little bit.
Who knows? Maybe. Would be nice. My whole thing with the Derby part of it is that it wasn't just fans. Like Jeff Passan after the game was like, what could have been Aaron Judge, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he completely revamped the home run selections for the swing off to the 6 best stars in the game. And that was never a realistic possibility, because then we learned about 10 minutes later that these are determined before the game starts. They have to submit the swing off picks before the game starts. So if it ever gets to this situation, you can't pivot or whatever it is. I don't know. But forget about that. You look at just Aaron Boone is not to blame for anything here. It's just funny how the national audience got the Yankees cosmic bullshit. So it was like Aaron Boone managing one of the best, this was objectively a really good American League All-Star roster, obviously, managing one of the best groups in, the last 5 years, probably something like that. And they score 0 runs through 6 innings. And it's the first time the American League had trailed for 5 total innings over the last 11 All-Star games. And they trailed for the first 8 innings of this one. And Aaron Boone was managing the team. You look at, he's managing Tarek Skubal as his, the best pitcher in baseball. Him and Paul Skeens toe to toe. I know Skubal was mic'd up, so that probably threw him off a little bit. But it's this is what happens to the Yankees, man. Garrett Cole, 2021 wild card game. You go in there, you have the best pitcher on the planet going, and just gets knocked around, and you're losing, and then you're put in a hole. You look at the home run derby aspect of it, where it's they make this comeback that you didn't see coming. The backups, not backups, it's the All-Star game, but all the guys who are replacing the starters come in, they score all the runs.
Yeah.
And and it's like you said, a classic fake Yankees comeback where it's going to be too little too late. I was sitting there, I was like, this is going to end 6-4. They're going to put runners on in the 9th. They're going to threaten. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They end up tying it. And then it's all right, now it's going down to this spectacle, this absolute spectacle, this event that's never happened, this thing that they have floated for the last couple of years, but it never came to it. And we are here. And the National League has 2 of the most electrifying home run hitters available in the last decade of baseball.
Yeah.
And the American League has 0.
And I kind of didn't even know how it went. If it was just going to be 1v1 or whatever. And we're debating, what are we about to see? And they, show, you got the broadcast up in the booth, and they show Pete Alonso warming up in the cage. And I was like, all right, so he's going to stomp ass.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the American League, and it's Brent Rooker warming up. And I'm like, is that just a one-on-one of Pete Alonso? I love Brent Rooker, but you are praying for a miracle. And then it turns out they launched the rules, and it just gets a layer even worse
total.
With Schwarber, where you're like, all right, that guy's obviously going to kill us. What are we doing here?
Yeah. It's just, and again, nothing to do with Boone. Just this is how the Yankees lose. This is how the Yankees lose in big moments. This is how the Yankees lose in front of a national audience. And it's it's the Boone Cashman era since 2018. It just is. You go back to every single postseason deciding situation. So obviously you lose in the postseason, it's embarrassing. You lose, you go home. But you have the 2018 postseason where they lose 16-1 against the Red Sox in the DS.
Brock Holt cycle.
Yeah. You have the 2019 Chapman smiling on the mound after the Astros cheated. 2020, the Rays beat them. Chapman blows it again. Garrett Cole gives up Austin Meadows home run. 2021 wild card game, one nationally televised game on ESPN. One game, winner go home. Yankees go home. Yep. Right from the jump, they go home.
Alex
2022
Verdugo.
ALCS. Yeah, Alex Verdugo. 2022 ALCS, 4-game sweep. Sucked in every manner possible. We could go over all the Red Sox, Mets televised games over the years. And then you have the World Series where yeah, Yankees defenders will say it was actually closer than you think. And it was yeah, it was, but who embarrassed themselves and lost? It was the Yankees. So Thanks.
It's true. It's true.
Sucks.
And,
Sucks.
yeah, sucks. Just bad. But we had fun, and you know what? Like, wasn't great for Aaron Boone either. Again, no one is gonna earnestly get on like Aaron Boone and say like he blew the All-Star game. He did not blow.
Opposing fans were making fun of him though, so it kind of like validated Yankees fans a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, of course they were. Bill Simmons got him. It's like, all right, he's gonna in the post game say his team played well. It's like, all right, cool, cool, man. You're paying attention to baseball again because you swept the Rockies and Nats. I see you, but you know it wasn't great optics for Aaron Boone having Joe Torre in the dugout. It was heartwarming optics. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I loved seeing Joe Torre in uniform. But if you're going to be in a nationally televised game, you bring the guy who preceded you and won a whole dynasty's worth of World Series, you're going to get tweets about how people wish he was still the one calling the shots. That's just how it's like if you bring Joe Torre, you better win the game.
Yeah, and they did not. So, but again, All-Star game fun. It's just all the other fun stats too. Like you had the deficit. With them trailing, they've trailed more in one game than they have in the last 11 years. That was the third loss, I think, in the last 13 or 14 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's just funny.
I mean, the moment that a Eugenio Suárez got hit in the pinky, though, like, again, the All-Star game doesn't matter, except for at like a grand emotional scale. At the biggest level, it 100% does, because you have the players wearing their home and road team city jerseys again, which it does not get better than that. You have every All-Star game has a moment at the beginning when everybody is lined up down each foul line and it looks beautiful and the world is just perfect. And so the All-Star game matters to those of us who love the game's history. Even, win or lose does not need to determine home field advantage or whatever the hell. It's worth taking a break and having a spectacle in the middle of the year. One. But two, there are things that absolutely matter in terms of the game energy, whether it's a guy like Clayton Kershaw seeming to say goodbye. Like, that matters. You still see the clip of Mariano Rivera saying goodbye in 2013 and winning the MVP. That stuff gets into the history books. Like, so, is anyone going to remember the Alonso 3-run home run? Mets fans will. That's not going to be a moment that's going to resonate forever. But the greats going toe-to-toe and the greats using that platform to do something exceptional or just to do what they've always done and say goodbye, that matters. You know what else? They found a new way to make it matter in the 8th inning when Eugenio Suárez got hit on the pinky. Because then it was like, oh, right, these are guys, and some of them are going to be in trade rumors, and some of them are going to determine if his pinky was broken and he was scratched from that swing off. It could have been even bigger National League route if he was the first guy to go instead of Kyle Stowers. You might have swung a World Series. Like, I don't mean to be dramatic. I don't think I am being dramatic. Like the Cubs, Tigers, Yankees, the Diamondbacks are already on the fence with whether they're going to sell or they're going to give away Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, and they definitely should sell because they're like the only appealing seller in that moment. And that moment was like an hour before he said the X-rays were negative.
Yeah.
That could have been a title swinging All-Star game. So like the fanfare was great. It delivered on the switch back to the home and road jerseys instead of the warm-ups. Kershaw, Torre making the pitching change, Kwan with the 2-out, game-tying hit in the 9th, Edwin Diaz using the ABS. There are a lot of individual game moments, things we won't forget, but that actually legitimately almost swung the postseason race, which I've never seen before.
Ridiculous. And White Sox, man, that would have been really tough for the White Sox to endure because that Seth Smith, those White Sox reliever.
Shane Smith,
Shane
the rookie,
Smith. Yeah. And a rookie too, just would have been absolutely brutal. But glad to see Eugenio is okay because, like we said, this is the only. We were just talking trade deadline earlier, and there is just not that much out there. So if you take one of the marquee options off the market with 2 weeks to go, then you're talking about one of two things: fewer impact position players are available, which is the likely outcome, or you having to really convince somebody to give up an impact bat by overpaying massively. And I think a lot of the consensus with maybe Yankees fans who have watched a lot this year is like, hard to fully repair this team before the trade deadline, I think, especially with what might be available. Like, I don't think this roster is getting remade. I don't think this roster is like going to go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers based on what Brian Cashman does. It was cool after the game to see Derek Jeter say that the Yankees are going to defeat the Cubs in the World Series because he's convinced Brian Cashman's going to go all out at the trade deadline. I don't know if that's going to be true. I really don't. Like we talked about last episode, Brian Cashman saying this is meaningless until the actions change. The last impact deadline he's had with actual results was 2017. That is nearly a decade ago. And that team still stands as like, probably the biggest what if, because I don't think the consensus last year was that the Yankees will make it to the World Series, but if the Dodgers or Phillies are there, they are losing to the Dodgers and the Phillies. Like, most Yankees fans thought that. Mm-hmm. The national media mostly thought that. But 2017 was a completely different story. Like, that was a Yankees team that like underachieved a little bit during the regular season and then kind of blew the doors off in the postseason and had that improbable comeback against the Guardians. Then they went toe-to-toe with the Astros and took them to 7 games. And like that was kind of viewed as this is the World Series. Like these might be the 2 best teams. Then you have the Dodgers in the World Series that year, which would have really set a nice stage because MLB has been dying for a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. But in terms like of matchups wise and momentum wise, like that team had it. If they were able to win Game 7 against the Astros, like you're looking at a situation where, holy shit, like they're going to do this. Like last year, nobody thought it because the Yankees, again, were top heavy. They didn't really have enough pieces, and the Dodgers went above and beyond to do everything, whether it was signing people in the offseason or overpaying for whatever at the trade deadline or just stocking depth on depth on depth to make sure that they were prepared. And it was just night and day when it came down to it, and that was it. So I don't know what can be done. I'm glad Suarez is okay. It would be really cool to see him as a Yankee, but we're going to need a lot more than just Suarez if the Yankees were to make acquisitions at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and like we said on the last show, of course this is the one where Brian Cashman said he's all in because there's not that much here. Yeah. And it was almost even worse if Suarez goes down. But the Dodgers built this super bullpen in the offseason, and they added Tanner Scott, and they added Kirby Yates to Blake Trinan and Bruce Gratterall and Evan Phillips. And like most of those dudes are gone and they're going to be shopping for more bullpen at the deadline. So message to Brian Cashman, like go all in at this deadline and then go all in next offseason. And then you're going to have to go all in at the next deadline again too, because most of this stuff doesn't hold up. You have to make more deadline deals than you want to, more offseason acquisitions than you want to, so that you end up with some semblance of what you set out to attain when the offseason started. And I think a lot of people who laughed at the Dodgers and said, well, this is just getting embarrassing now. Like, they just signed Tanner Scott. Why do they need Kirby Yates? Well, it's because some of these guys stink, and some of the guys they relied on last year went down, and they're going to get more guys. Like, they just acquired Alexis Diaz, and he didn't even pitch. He just went up and down to the majors to the minors. Like, if you want to figure out a 9-man bullpen unit that you can rely on in the postseason, you need to sign 3 bullpen stalwarts in the offseason and then replace 2 of them by the time the deadline rolls around. It's sad, but it's true.
It is. And what do we have until then? Kind of nothing, break ends tomorrow. It was unfortunate with kind of how the Derby went down and how the AL lost, because there were nice Yankees all-star moments in between, like Carlos Rodon with his kids, Max Fried helping out with one of Carlos Rodon's kids who got tired on the red carpet. Yeah. Jazz was looking fly. Judge was looking good. I thought that there was just there were some really nice and cool moments, and I know it was crammed. All-Star Weekend there's too much going on, right?
My bald spot was on MLB Network. I feel like people aren't talking about that enough.
Was it?
Oh yeah, for sure. And they did like a whip pan to talking to Brian Wu. I was talking to Buxton, and you had a big overhead there. So yeah.
It's the All-Star Weekends or All-Star break is great. It's just there's too much stuff. Like Sunday was the draft. Monday is the home run derby, All-Star game.
George
all in a row.
George Lombard Jr. getting called by
Futures
Baseball
game.
America the best prospect they saw in the Futures game. And that feels like forever ago, and the Yankees were losing to the Cubs during the Futures game.
Yeah.
So it feels like, oh, I guess that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we could highlight those fun things, but they were, again, came and went so fast. And then you have all this other stuff that's overshadowing it, or the more stuff that people are talking about on social media that we obviously have to talk about because those are the larger discussion points. But yeah, I mean, I hope these guys just got rest yesterday and today, because I'm going to need it for these next couple weeks to dig out of the mini hole they have. MLB tweeted today, or Bleacher Report tweeted today, like the Blue Jays are soaring above the AL East. They have a 2-game lead. Yeah. What is social media managing anymore? Like, I just don't even understand.
Remember, it's funny. And again, Red Sox fans love to throw poison at you for saying that 6 of the 10 wins in this 10-game winning streak are against the Nationals and Rockies, minor league teams. And they're like, oh, so did the last 4 not count against the Rays? No, they counted, but you don't think they were due in part to the momentum of playing 6 minor league games before you played some major league games, some home games with the Rays. The Red Sox are hot. The Red Sox are objectively hot. The Red Sox should buy at the deadline. The Red Sox should get a starter. Hopefully Joe Ryan is not available because he'd be a good fit. The Red Sox propaganda was in full force with just screenshotting Garrett Crochet standing next to Joe Ryan. I hate the Red Sox media economy. That said, remember a month ago when the Rays couldn't lose? And it was like, man, the Yankees are losing ground to the Rays every single time they lose because they're winning 14-15. They go on the road and sweep everybody. The Rays are now 3 games over 500, 4 over, and they're 4 back in the Yankees, and they're out of a playoff spot. They're behind the Mariners. So we're doing this podcast a month and a half ago. I would have said, man, I do not know what got into the Rays, but they cannot be killed right now. They are throwing a huge wrench in the AL East picture. We should have taken care of them when we had the chance to. That game we blew with the 8-4 lead is looking worse and worse. And now they're kind of an afterthought. Yeah. And the Red Sox are the team that, like, oh my God, I can't believe everybody let the Red Sox get hot. Now they're going to make deadline noise, and we're 1-5 against them. I think the Red Sox are good. I think it's no surprise that they're playing better after playing strangely poorly for as long as they did. But I just want everybody who's saying it's dismissive to say, oh, they had 3 great series, 2 of which were against minor league teams, to remember where the Rays were like a month and a half ago. And then to remember where the Red Sox were in April, May, and June, and they got rid of their best hitter. I think the Red Sox are of a higher quality than they showed throughout most of that first half. But I do not think that they have punched their postseason ticket because of the last 10 games.
No, it's unfortunate. Really what it is they have hit a hot streak at the best possible time for them and the worst possible time for the Yankees. Like, that's really just what it comes down to. We hate the Red Sox, hate them, but we have been talking all year about how they have a ton of talent. And then it just comes down to putting those guys in the right spots or utilizing the right trade assets to further upgrade. And
that's what I love too. Like there were so many Red Sox fan tweets from like May that were like, we added a bona fide ace this offseason, an all-star closer, and one of the best third basemen in baseball. Why are we this bad? And then they go on a 10-game winning streak and start coming back in the playoff race. And they're like, where did this come from? I never saw this coming. It's like, yes, you did. You saw it coming in May. You tweeted about it. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You saw it coming in the offseason when you were talking shit.
Yeah, you saw it coming all along. The true talent level is much higher than what they were playing at in the first half.
Yeah, and also funny, like it's just all of it is so funny, right? So they trade Devers. Red Sox fans are, submitting their resignation as a fan.
Yeah.
And then,
this is one step too far. They've disrespected the fan base too much.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, Devers apparently didn't have a massive clubhouse impact, or else they wouldn't be playing this well. Or, oh, man, prioritizing that younger talent and getting this financial flexibility sure is cool. That's the new cool thing to do, isn't it? And then even general baseball fans like hate him too, because in May, Yankees are up 7.5 games. You have the Jays under 500. You have the Rays hovering around 500 at that time before their big run. You have the Red Sox below 500. You have the Orioles as arguably the most disappointing team in baseball look at at that time, still are. And now, where's the AL East at the break? the only fucking division with 4 teams over 50 wins. Does anybody know anything? Does anybody know ever when to like properly talk shit? It's just flash in the pan shit talking, and then you don't even eat your words ever because you get to go away behind the, Garrett Crochet Enjoyer Twitter account.
There was a moment when the entire AL Central was in the playoff picture and over 500 too, and now the Tigers are 11.5 up, and nobody else is over 500.
Yeah. So it's like it's almost like nobody's fucking watched baseball before. Yeah, really, what it comes down to, because like everybody did most Yankees fans. Hey, you there? Everybody saw this coming. Everybody said, "Oh, Yankees have a 7.5, 8-game lead. Like that's not going to last." Don't know when it's going to come crashing down, but it will for sure at some point. And of course, it comes crashing down sooner than most people expected in reality. But everybody else is like riding the high of whatever it is. Red Sox fans are cutting their wrists because the team is so bad and they can't handle it. And Craig Breslow is the worst. And he was chosen by an AI bot to run this team. And then he trades Rafael Devers because he didn't communicate with him properly in the offseason when bringing Alex Bregman on board. And then he trades Rafael Devers and he's the worst guy ever. And now the Red Sox are on a 10-game winning streak. And what else? What happened before that? Because I got Men in Blacked and my brain's deleted now.
Yeah. Cedar Rafael should have been at the All-Star game, though. That is true.
He is good. I just wish we had one athlete like that.
Yeah. He did recently go from being one of their worst players and most overrated with like an 82 OPS plus to now being an absolute danger man.
Oh, yeah. All it takes is 2-week hot streak for anything. Like Anthony Volpe looked good during his 2-week hot streak in April.
What if he looked good again? Anyway, crying about the Red Sox for 18 minutes. That is your All-Star Game recap on the Yanks Go Yard podcast. No, we're excited for the second half. The Red Sox schedule gets tougher. Ours gets easier. And that means jack shit, as we all know.
Let's laugh at the schedule, though, because we did enough crying. Red Sox
schedule is crazy. Go.
Red Sox out of the break. 3-game set against the Cubs in Chicago. Sorry. 3-game set against the Phillies in Philadelphia. Okay. Home 3-game series against the Dodgers. Road series against the Twins. I'm not saying the Twins are at all dangerous, but that is the series before the trade deadline, number one. And number two, the Red Sox go from Chicago to Philly to Boston to Minnesota in 4 series, which is kind of crazy. Then they are home against the Astros, who are... We should have dedicated a half hour to the Astros because that's apparently the best team anybody's ever seen, despite all of their good players sucking.
Yeah.
Then they're on the road against the Royals. Then they're on the road against the Padres. Then they're on the road against the Astros. So enjoy that stretch, because then after that it gets a little bit easy. They have 3 against the Marlins, a 2-game set against the Orioles. Why is that there? And then they get to play the Yankees for 4 games at Yankee Stadium, which they'll probably take. They'll take 3 or 4 in that one. But yeah, I mean, you look at that Red Sox stretch and it's like every Red Sox fan's like, we're buying at the deadline. And it's like, what if you lose 9 straight, dude? Are you buying at the deadline? Don't know.
You better buy at the deadline. Hey, look, we just said we think the team is pretty good, but this is, this is the antithesis of Rockies Nats.
Yeah.
I thought they would go 5-1 in Rockies Nats. They went 6-0. Proved me wrong. I thought they would split with the Rays. They won all 4. Proved me wrong. Now, nut cutting time. And the Yankees schedule it's not easy. And when they do face opponents who are quote unquote easy, they play down to them all the time. All I'm saying is that I'm trying to say that it's on them now. Now the responsibility is on their shoulders. They don't have schedule quirks to blame their struggles on. They are done with West Coast swings. They just played a nutso stretch of 4 in Toronto, 3 at the Mets, 3 against the Mariners, who were coming off 3 straight shutouts, and 3 against the Cubs. The Mariners series was incredible. The Cubs series started with a bang and ended with a whimper. The Yankees literally never win heading into the break since 2017. I think they're 1-7. Bad. But they don't have a single stumbling, they don't have an absolute nightmare 10-game stretch. They do not have a West Coast trip. They don't have a breakneck pace. Atlanta at Toronto again. You really want to get revenge there. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. home for the Phillies, home for the Rays. Hopefully they're still reeling. At Marlins, at Rangers. You get the Astros in the Bronx, Twins in the Bronx, at Cardinals, at Rays for 2, with a Thursday and a Monday off there. That 4-game Red Sox series we talked about, who knows what that is? Can't feel good about it now. 3 against the Nats, 4 at the White Sox. Like, you now have a month and a half. Then you go to Houston, you play Toronto, you play the Tigers, and you go to Boston. Not great. Your September starts off not great. But there's no, okay, well, whatever we're doing now doesn't matter because we have 13 upcoming games where I would be happy to win 3 of them in our current state. Like, there's no stretch like that. And if there's something close to that, it's the beginning of September when you really need to know what you are as a team.
Yeah.
So now is the time for the rest of the year. There isn't a single moment in time where I'm like, well, that's a schedule loss. I mean, they're just dead. They're DOA entering this series. They have a chance in all of these series. They have some rest and relaxation finally, and they don't have just an unbearable, daunting stretch with no breaks. So now it's on you. You don't get to blame anything on your schedule. You don't get to blame your active or inactive trade deadline on any external factors. Eugenio Suárez's pinky is fine. You can have him if you want to pay for him. Now it's on you. So go get it, and we'll talk about you going to get it. If you don't get it, we'll talk about that too.
They'll blame it on other stuff.
Yeah, of course. They obviously will. But that's my public service announcement. I've seen your schedule. I know what you have. I know you have enough talent to win a lot of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Go win these baseball games. That is it for this portion of the podcast, but stay tuned again for Bayside's Anthony Ranieri talking Eras Tour and his Yankee fandom. And we made him guess which of his songs we most associate with the current state of the New York Yankees. We had a ton of fun. We hope to have Anthony back on the show. Until next stream, you can find us Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern on the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib. This is Thomas Carinante at Adam Weinrib at Tommy's Takes. And we'll send it right now into Anthony's audio. For those of you on the audio feed, you can also find that video on YouTube. And we recommend that you do because it's our channel. So you should stay on it and watch more. And
subscribe.
Subscribe too. You'll get more content like this and like that. Hopefully, we'd love to have more guests. Anthony was super fun to have. Without further ado, enjoy.